5 review, we're going to be going through questions 41 to 44. So they're all story problems. The first one says Henry stands on a platform and shoots a rocket in his 10th grade science class. He found that the motion of the rocket can be described by the equation y = 28x minus x squared, where y is the vertical distance and x is the horizontal distance. If this equation were to be graphed, find the x-intercept of the equation. How far away from the platform it hits the ground. So whenever we're trying to find the x-intercept, what we need to do first is we need to plug in 0 for y, because the x-intercept is going to be on the x-axis, so you need y to be 0 to be anywhere on that line there. So we're going to just plug in that 0, and then I'm actually going to switch it around so that the x squared is at the beginning. So we're going to have negative x squared plus 28x plus 60. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take out a negative 1 because we want a, or the first term here, to just be 1 or just x squared. So I'm going to pull out that negative 1, and what's left inside is x squared plus, minus 28x minus 60. And now we're going to use the AC method. So it's just negative 60 and negative 30 and positive 2 work. When we multiply it, it becomes negative 60, and when we add it, it becomes negative 28. So we're just going to put that into our binomials. Now it's x minus 30 and x plus 2. Okay, and now we just have to set each one equal to 0. So 0 equals negative 1, 0 equals x minus 30, and 0 equals x plus 2. So x equals negative 1 is not a true statement, so we don't even have to include this one. Now all that we have to do is just get x alone. So add 30 on both sides. X is going to equal 30, and then subtract 2 on both sides, and x is going to equal negative 2. Okay, so those are our x-intercepts for that first one. Okay, so now we can go ahead, we can either leave it like that or we can put it into xy form. So we can say that it is 30, 0, and negative 2, 0. Okay, going on to 42. A triangle has an area of 14 square inches. The height of the triangle is 3 inches more than the base. What are the height and base of the triangle? Okay, so in this case, we need to know what is the area of a triangle. So the area formula is A equals base times height divided by 2. So now we just need to plug in what's A, B, and H. So in this case, it says an area of 14. So we already know that A is going to be 14. The height of the triangle is 3 inches more than the base. So for our height here, it's going to be B plus 3. And then we don't know what B is, so we're just going to leave it as B. Now we're just going to plug it all into the equation. So we have 14 equals B times B plus 3 divided by 2. Okay, so how I'm going to start this is I'm actually going to distribute in that B. So we're going to get B squared plus 3B. And then I'm going to multiply 2 on both sides. So we have B squared plus 3B equals 28 here. So then we just need to get one side to equal 0. So I'm going to subtract 28 on both sides. So we're actually going to get 0 equals B squared plus 3B minus 28. Okay, and then we're going to use the AB method to solve this. So we have negative 28. And it looks like that 7 and negative 4 are going to work for this one. So our equations are just going to be x plus 7, x minus 4. And now we're just going to set each one equal to 0. So x plus 7 equals 0, and x minus 4 equals 0. So it looks like x equals negative 7, and x equals 4. So in this case, since we're trying to find what the height and base are, we need to understand that there cannot be any negative bases here. Oh, and I just barely realized I switched from B to X. Oh my goodness. Okay, so wherever there's an X, there's supposed to be a B. So really it's B equals -7 and B equals 4. So the base cannot be a negative base. So we have to go with the positive one. So our base is actually going to equal 4. So I'm going to write that over here. Base equals 4 inches. Okay, so now what we need to do to find the height now, we just need to plug it back into the equation for h. So if we come all the way back up here, it was b plus 3. So b equals 4. So we plug in 4 for b. So 4 plus 3 is going to equal 7. So the height equals 7 inches. And that's our answer for number 42. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and erase all that we've done so far. And then I'm going to start out with a new color, maybe a little bit more fun color, and go on to the 43. Okay, so Jill has a small treasure box that is 6 inches long. It can hold a volume of 72 inches cubed, and the width of the box is 5 inches less than twice the height of the box. What are the dimensions of the box? So in this case, we already know what the length is. The length, or L, I'll probably end up just calling it L. Let me erase that. So L is going to equal 6 inches. We know that volume, the area for volume is V equals length times width times height. So we need L, W, and H. So in this case, the volume is going to be 72 inches. The length is 6, and then the width is 5 inches less than twice the height of the box. So remember that we kind of go backwards. So we're going to do twice the height. So twice the height and less than 5 inches. So that's the statement that that sentence says. And then it doesn't give us anything for H. So we have to assume that it's just H. So it looks like that we're going to be finding for H first. So when we plug that all in, right, to this equation here, we have 72 equals 6 times H times 2H minus 5. Okay. So to start off, I'm probably going to divide 6 by everything because it's a little bit easier to work with. Let's see, 72 divided by 6 is going to be 12. It's a lot easier to work with 12 than some bigger numbers that we would have to deal with. And then we're going to distribute that H inside. So we have 2H squared minus 5H. Okay, and then we're going to get one side to be 0. So I'm going to subtract 12 on both sides. And we're going to get 0 equals 2H squared minus 5H minus 12. Okay, so now we have to do the AC method. So 2 times negative 12 is negative 24. And now we have to find two things that multiply up to be negative 24 that equals negative 5. In this case, it's going to be negative 8 and positive 3. So we're just going to split that middle one up because remember A is not 1, so we have to group it. So we have 2H squared minus 8H, plus 3H minus 12. So now we're going to group here and pull out what we can. So for the first one, we could pull out 2H and we're left with H minus 4. This next one, we could pull out a 3, so positive 3 there, and we're left with H minus 4. So then we go ahead, I'm going to pull this over here. We go ahead and bring out the H minus 4, and we have H minus 4, and then whatever's left over, which is 2H plus 3. And all of this is equal to 0. So there's nothing else that we can factor out. So we can go ahead and just go with it. So if we do H minus 4 equals 0 and 2H plus 3 equals 0. So H equals 4. And then this one, if we minus 3, we have 2H equals negative 3 and divided by 2. So H equals negative 3 over 2, which remember, this is a box. We can't have negative lengths. So the one that we want to go with is actually going to be 4. So it looks like that our height is going to be 4. So I'm going to write that down. Height is 4. So now what we need to figure out is the width, because our length is 6. It was given to us in the beginning. Okay, so if we go back to the equation for the width, right, it's 2 times the height and then subtract 5. So if we plug in that 4 again, we have 2 times 4 minus 5. So 2 times 4 is 8, minus 5 equals 3. So the width is 3, and all of these are going to be inches. And there we go, there's 43. Okay, and then let's go ahead and go to number 44. So Jessie is mowing her backyard that is in the shape of a right triangle. Whenever I hear in the shape of a right triangle, I like to draw the triangles so I know where things are. The shortest side is 7 meters shorter than the second side, and the hypotenuse is 13 meters long. What are the lengths of the two sides? So it gives us the hypotenuse, which is the one directly across from the right triangle. So it's going to be 13 here. The shortest side is 7 meters shorter than the second side. So what we can do is we can label one of these sides X, and then the other side, the shortest side is 7 meters shorter than the second side. So we can just go X minus 7. So we have our legs now. So all we need to do is plug it into the Pythagorean theorem, because that's what solves the sides. So we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So this is going to be our a, our b, and our c. So a, so x squared plus, and then we have x minus 7 squared equals 13 squared. Okay, so we don't have to do anything with the x squared, we can leave it, but with x minus 7, we're actually going to make this into another x minus 7. Remember when there's a squared on there and there's a addition or minus sign inside, we have to split it into 2 of the same parentheses, and then we're going to distribute to each one. So we have plus x squared minus 7x minus 7x, and then plus 49. This is all when we distribute there. Okay, and then 13 times 13 is going to equal 169. Had to make sure. So 169 there. Now we're just going to go ahead and simplify. So x squared plus x squared is going to be 2x squared. Negative 7x minus negative 7x is going to be negative 14x. And then plus 49 equals 169. Okay, so now we want to definitely simplify it. So we're going to bring the 169 onto the other side. So I'm going to subtract 169 from both sides. So that makes that side 0. So 49 minus 169 is going to give us negative 120. So I'm actually going to bring it all up here. But when we do that, we have 0 equals 2x squared minus 14x minus 120. So I don't want to leave it like this because it's a lot easier if the a would be 1, which in this case, we can actually divide 2 by everything, and we can make it more simple for ourselves. So if we bring a 2 out of all of these terms, we're going to be left with x squared minus 7x, and then it will be negative 60. Okay, so now we just have to find 2 terms of negative 60 that's going to equal negative 7. So if we go ahead and look for that, right, we can do 60 divided by 5, which is 12, which works. So we can have a negative 12 and a positive 5. Okay, so what we're left with is 0 equals 2, and then x minus 12, and x plus 5. And then we're going to set each of those equal. So 0 equals 2, of course, that doesn't matter just because 0 does not equal 2. And then we have 0 equals x minus 12, and 0 equals x plus 5. So we're going to add 12 to both sides, add 12. One of our x's is 12. And then this one is going to be x equals -5 because we're going to subtract 5 on both sides. So again, a leg cannot be negative. So our side A is going to equal 12 here. So it's 12 meters. So I'm just going to leave it as 12m. And then our side B, we have to plug in that x. So 12 minus 7, and we're left with 5 meters. So that's our answer for those.